Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Mary Guy, the face and the voice behind this YouTube channel, Mary Guy Unfiltered. And I am here yet again on a self-discipline, being transparent and accountable for my progress on my May 2025 goals. And I'm here to share it with you, as well as hold myself accountable as I'm tracking my May 2025 goals. So just in case this is your first video watching of me with the title of self-discipline at the top of my video thumbnails, I am on a self-growth journey where I am challenging myself to become more self-disciplined. Somehow I stumbled across this whole word just by I came across this word just by I don't know, it just came to me where I was like, you know what? Why is it that I'm actually keep I keep you meet your goal, then the next thing you know, you're not meeting your goal, or you slack off, or I've made so much progress in the past, but then I find myself right back where I was, or even if I don't make it all the way back to where I was, I've I've actually backslide back into some of the bad habits. So the word that popped up in my mind was self-discipline. Self-discipline is key. And then also a scripture kind of made that evident to me. The fruits of the spirit, when it talks about the fruits of the spirit and it says self-control. And that's one of the words that hung in my head the last time I was on my self-growth journey, as it relates to being a better, healthier self. And this time I want to hone on it a little bit more by being more intentional and learning more and studying more. So that's the whole idea behind these videos. And I'm here to kind of be transparent because my goal is maybe like a month or 2 months or 3 months, or even by the end of this year, I want to be able to look back on these videos and hold myself accountable and say, okay, I should have made it very far. Look at where I was in May 2025 when I first started this video, and look at where I am now. If I establish some self-discipline and consistency and whatever it is that I'm attempting to do in any area of my life, I truly believe that there is no way that I would not have any progress. So with consistency and self-discipline, I see it as the key to opening up many doors, many opportunities that might have been hindered because of my lack of self-discipline. And so that's the whole idea behind these videos. And I will start off each video by sharing with you what my monthly goal is for this month of May. I have a set of 6 goals, and you can go back to the previous videos and watch them. I've also made my videos easily accessible and made it to where it'll make it at ease for you to follow through day by day in the order that I post it, because I created a playlist for you as well. And then also you have different accommodations to the videos like subtitles, transcript, all that good stuff. And then also there are some links in the description that I have shared over the time of sharing different tips and such. I just pinned it onto the end of the videos down below, or the description down below. And then also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that we can be on this self journey together. Feel free to comment. There are no comments that I will not read or reply to. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my sharing again my May 2025 goals and sharing with you guys how am I doing on this May the 12th, Monday, on these goals, and what are some of the things that I want to share as far as experiences. So let's look again at my May 2025 goals. I have a set of 6 short and sweet and simple SMART goals that I have created. And my goal number 1 is to earn at least $2,000 from a supplementary income. Goal number 2 is to pay off a line of credit that totaled out to be $1,384.42 at the beginning of this month. Goal number 3 is to lose at least 10 pounds. My starting weight was 239 pounds. I weighed myself initially on April the 27th, and I have shared my progress every Sunday of the month. so far. Goal number 4, start SQL course on Microsoft to advance skill. It's work related. Goal number 5, read, study, and meditate on discipline. Goal number 6, implement discipline in all areas of my life. So let's jump straight into it to see how I have, what progress have I made on goal number 1. So my goal is to earn at least $2,000 from a supplementary income. This is an income that I do on the side. There are several ventures that I have a goal to step into to earn money. And it's things that I'm pretty much passionate about. So I just want to see where I can go with it. And so the reason why I made this goal is just to kind of push myself to see, well, how much can I actually make in this month? So then I can use it as a baseline based on how much effort I had to put in, how much time I had to put in to actually earn this amount of money or meet this goal or exceed this goal, whatever the case may be. So this is kind of serving as a baseline for me. I have had moments in the past where I've earned a good amount of money. I think the most that I've earned twice was like $1,000 in a week, in 1 week. And then on average, I'm like $300 to $500 a week or daily, depending on the day, Mondays through, I would say Wednesdays, maybe $70, depending on the time, because I only have a set amount of time that I'm able to do during the weekdays. But during the weekends, those are peak moments, so I could easily earn over $100 each day. Sometimes on Thursdays, most definitely on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. So with that being said, looking back at my first week, for this month, I was able to earn $370, which gave me a total left from my 2000 goal, $1,629. And I've also earned money the second week of May, and that was a total of $369. And granted, so just to recap, there are some days that I was not able to earn money on. They're grayed out. And then also on the 10th, because I was leaving out of town to go to Mother's Day, my whole Mother's Day weekend, to go back home to spend time with my mother. I just squeezed in a little bit of time to be able to earn that amount of money. But as you can see from the first week of May, normally, and then even this is not a good judgment because it wasn't granted the whole a lot of time that I normally would. And so normally it'll be like $200, almost $200. And I was very close there. So as you can see on the 10th, that's not nearly as much as I could have. And that's because I traveled. This week, starting out on Saturday, because I traveled on Sunday, I took a break. I actually came in from traveling on Sunday. And so the rest of that day, I just took a break. Now, today on the 12th, now that I've taken a break on Sunday, I've jumped back out there and I was actually able to earn $81.40 today. So just to kind of see again what I've done on several videos is kind of track my remaining amount that I need to earn. So I'm going to go back to that 1260 and I'm going to divide it by 3. So that means each week, each of these following weeks, I need to earn $420. So I need to earn $420 this week, next week, and the following week in order to meet my $2,000 goal. Okay. This week, if I'm looking at my schedule right, I know I have a wedding to attend on the 17th, and then I'll also be gone on the 18th as well. And I won't return until later on that 18th, but I won't be able to earn money from this venture until Tuesday, the 20th. So with that being said, I was able to DoorDash today. I should be able to DoorDash on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I could even DoorDash a little bit. I'll try to squeeze in some time on the 17th. I have a hair appointment and the wedding is in the evening. So I'm thinking like between that early morning hair appointment and the time that I need to be getting out the door to head on to the wedding, I should be able to feed in some amount of time to be able to earn some money. That's my goal. So that means for this week, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more days that I'm able to earn. And then the following week, it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm actually able to add in Saturday. So that's another 5 days. So that's 10 days. And then this last week, because my schedule sometimes fluctuates, it changes. Originally, it was going to be where I was only able to do or actually earn money on Tuesday, but I'm actually able to earn money all throughout this last week. Yeah, so every day this last week so far. So that's 10 plus 7, or 10 plus 7, 17 days. So what I'm going to do is take 1260, which is my left balance from last week, how much I have left for these next following weeks. I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 8140, and I'm going to do the exact amount. So 1260.31 minus 81.40. So I have $1,178.91 to earn, and I just said that I'm able to earn more money 17 days. So if I were to take that value divided by 17, that gives me $69 that I need to earn at least each day, which in my mind is very reasonable, because as you can look back on the trend of most of these days, even during the weekdays, I've been able to earn on average $69. So it's not far-fetched. And then that's even just a low count of it, because I also know, just based on my trend, that on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, if I'm able to actually earn money during those days, it's going to be well beyond $69. So that's kind of how I checkpoint myself to see where I'm at and whether it still is a reasonable goal, and what I need to do to to push myself to reach that goal. So I'm still feeling confident that I'm able to not only reach this goal, but exceed this goal. So we shall see. And then if I do meet this goal, I will reveal at the end of this month the actual venture that is allowing me to earn this money, and I can share some details on that. Goal number 2, pay off Chase credit card, $1,384.42. I actually was able to make my first chunk payment. It wasn't really due. It's just I'm dividing it by 3 because I'm trying to pay it off before the 25th, which is when it's actually due. Whether I pay a minimum payment or I make the full payment. And I want to make the full payment before that 25th date so that I don't earn or accrue interest onto what I already have to pay. So my goal is to try to pay it as soon as possible before that 25th date so that I don't have to worry about that. So I went ahead and made that first payment. It wasn't on May the 10th. It was actually a day or so before May the 10th, because on May the 10th, I was planning on leaving out of town, and I wanted to rebudget and make sure that I took care of this cost prior to leaving town, just to make sure that this gets paid and I won't feel the need to kind of spend money from this bucket of money that I have set aside for this. And then I also, on the previous video from yesterday, I shared with you guys the budget that I set up for Mother's Day weekend. And then I also shared with you how I did on that budget, as a good idea of the importance of using that as self-discipline over the weekend for myself. So right now, I currently have a remaining balance of $922.42, which I'm going to be on track to pay at the end of this week and before the end of next week to get it all the way down to 0. Goal number 3, lose at least 10 pounds. Started at 239 on April the 27th, May the 1st, 237. That means I lost 2 pounds, so I only have 8 pounds left. By May the 4th, I was down to 235.2 pounds. So I only had at that point 6.2 pounds left to lose. And I made a mistake on the last video with my amount left. I put 5.2, but on May the 11th, yesterday, I weighed myself and I weighed 233.8 pounds. And I put that I have 5.2 pounds left, and that's incorrect. I actually have lost 5.2 pounds, but I have 4.8 pounds left. So if I were to do the same idea that I did for my supplementary income, if I took 4.8 and I have how many more weeks left? 3. So divided by 3, that means on average, I need to continue to lose 1.6 pounds. But I'm going to do something else. I'm going to see what did I lose in those first few days. From 239 to 237, that's the loss of 2 pounds. From May the 1st to May the 4th, how many pounds did I lose? Well, let's see. So I'm going to take 237 minus 235.2. That's 1.8 pounds. And then from um, last week to this week, 235.2 minus 233.8, that's 1.4 pounds. So with that being said, I've already lost somewhere more or around the value that I need to lose for these next 3 weeks. So if I continue doing what I'm doing, which I've been implementing low carb, low calorie, high protein meals, no sweets, no junk food, yeah, none of that. Like it's all X out, and drinking plenty of water. I know I need to do more of that. And also combined with working out and being active, taking my walk breaks, not sitting down, stretching, and things like that. So if I continue doing what I'm doing, it should reflect in my weight. Now, I will have to say that I do need to prepare myself for this upcoming weekend, just like I prepared myself for last weekend with Mother's Day, and going out to eat or being away from home. It's so easy to resort to ordering out and instead of actually deciding a healthier choice and so forth. So at the wedding, I'm hoping some there should be some protein or vegetables of some sort that I'm able to partake in, but I'm going to stick solely to that. I know I would love to try the wedding cake, but it is not on my diet palette right now. And I don't want anything to deter me because I really honestly feel last weekend, Mother's Day weekend, or this past weekend actually, I feel like maybe I had dropped more pounds, but because even with me eating only vegetables, fruit, and protein, probably there was something with the food that I ate that may have allowed me to gain a little bit more of the weight back. And I probably had a larger loss than what it showed up on the scale on Sunday because of the fact of me going out and eat that one day, even though that was my main meal of the day. And I stuck to vegetables, fruit, and protein. It could have had a lot of sodium in there, like there's so many other different things that I have to consider when it comes to food. And so it causes your body to retain water weight and so forth and so on. So I am going to kind of reflect back on how I did on this past Mother's Day weekend and gear myself up for how I can do the same or better during this wedding weekend. And yeah, there will be so many different things I just won't be able to partake in. I'm just have to decide like, no, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no, just so I can stay on track with my weight. Because the last thing I want to do is step on the scale on May the 18th and see that my weight has gone up. I want to continue down. So I have to make a sacrifice. I have to be disciplined. And this is the perfect way to practice it because it's easy to practice when you don't have any temptations. But when you are having to be in certain venues and events that are catered towards just partaking in a lot of calories and such, that's when you're really putting yourself to the test. So I'm interested to see how I'm going to do. I'm just going to prepare myself mentally for it so that I'll have a game plan on how I'm going to handle those things. Goal number 4, start SQL course on Microsoft to advance skill. This is one that I am trying my best to revamp and trying to find the best way to include this into my routine. My last idea was to actually use some of my work time each day, the last 30 minutes of my work time, to spend on doing some of the modules here. But I had a conflict today that makes me think that and also on Mondays and Tuesdays, it doesn't seem like that last part of my schedule is going to work. So I might flip it to the first 30 minutes. And by doing that, I feel like I'm going to counteract a lot of things getting away. I'll already have that done before I get started. So then I don't have to be trying to squeeze in time, because once I get on the road with my work schedule, it might be hard to stop, or I might lose track of time, and or I could set a timer. I mean, there are so many different things that I could do to help myself with this goal, but this is one of the 6 goals that I do need to um, go back to the drawing board and try to figure out how I can move along with completing these, because I've only started, even though my goal says to start, and that means even if I weren't to do anything else before the end of May, I would have reached my goal for this one, just because I simply said to start. But I don't want to just start. I want to do more than that. I set this as a goal just to push me along, but in the end, I do want to finish this, along with there are some other things I want to take as well. So I just need to focus on that. I have been reading and studying and meditating on discipline by using The Power of Discipline book by Daniel Walter. It's linked below in the description. And these are some of the statements that I pulled from there that kind of resonate with me. The first one talks about self-discipline as being important, because it can make you become extraordinary if you're ordinary. And if you are intelligent and educated, but you don't have self-discipline, then you will rarely rise above mediocrity. And so it just shows how not having self-discipline can hinder you from reaching your full potential. And then the second statement is talking about behavior, routine, and habits, and how they're very important to help develop discipline and build a stronger willpower. And there are some videos that I kind of go more in detail about both these 2 statements. Goal number 6, implementing discipline in all areas of my life. I've completed my first week of this, where I shared how I was able to do that mentally by taking breaks, kind of like self-care, turning off notifications on my phone, social media, career. I use the work log to prioritize and help manage my time better. And then in my finances, I budgeted for Mother's Day weekend prior to. I've had instances in the past um, where I didn't necessarily like sat down and literally budgeted for the weekend. And then when I reflect about it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I spent this amount of money. And so just being more proactive when it comes to my finances, so that I don't have mishaps happening within my budget. And then this week, I'm going to talk about how I implemented discipline in my body, physically, recreation wise, and organization wise. And then the following week's heart and soul. So these are my May 2025 goals, and this is just an Excel sheet that kind of check marks the days in which I've um, worked on the goal. Now, goal number 2 is kind of different, because I only have 3 days in which I set up a schedule to make payments for. But all the other goals should be something that I could implement each day. So it kind of marks my progress. So now that I have gone over how I have done well in my goal with my May 2025 goals, I do want to share with you some tips on tracking expenses, because that's something that I mentioned in the last video that I would want to do, and I actually did that. And I want to share it with you guys. I tracked my expenses all the way to the beginning of this year until now and broke it down by month. But before I kind of dive into my expenses and what I have, I want to share some tidbits on why it's important to track expenses. So, tracking expenses, it's just a key thing that will help you with achieving financial stability and reaching your goals. And so here are some budgeting tips that you can start with, or that I would want to start with. And that's number one: tracking expenses will help me improve my budgeting. Tracking expenses will give me financial awareness. It'll tell me where I'm at financially, where I can actually save money. Financial planning. There are a lot of different things that I want to do when it comes as regard to my finances, like investing money, saving money, building a cash workflow is what I really, really want to do. Some form of structure that shows where my money goes, comes, and where I'm spending my money at, being more manageable about that. Fraud detection. I've had some instances in the past, and I'm grateful that I have my online um, banking, because I was able to catch this was like years ago when I was in college. Um, and there's an incident that happened recently, but on my bank account, if you catch it within 90 days, you report it, they give you your money back. It was no hassle. There are some banks that kind of give you hassle, but my bank did not. Once I reported it to them, my money was immediately refunded to me and so forth. So you do want to track expenses, because there are fraudulent things that happen on people's accounts. And I, for one, can vouch that it has happened to me quite a few times, but I was able to um, get that covered and figured out. And then lastly, but not least, cash flow management. And that's definitely what I want to build some type of structure with my finances. So I don't want to just have a budget. I want to have a cash flow, like several accounts, this account for this account, emergency account that literally can cover my expenses for 6 months to a year would be like a plus. Like building that financial structure is where I'm trying to um, give myself to. So just to give you more information on each of these points, tracking your expenses. Understand where your money goes. Use budgeting apps. You can use spreadsheets. I like using spreadsheets, and I will actually show that to with you. I just like doing my own thing and organizing my own way. There are some great budgeting apps out there though, and they are very spiffy where they can do all the analyzing for you. So, using budget apps, spreadsheets, or notebooks to record your income and expenses. I know back in the day, which most people don't even use this now, I still have my checkbook. But along with your checkbook, you had another book where you were supposed to jot down your expenses. Now, that is very ancient to us now. Even with our mobile banking, debit cards makes it easy though, because we can go back and track our expenses. When you use cash, you have to really remember, oh, I use these $20 for this. But when you make payments by digital, every single time it'll make it very easy for you to track your money. So I might even look at, even though I don't really use cash much, I might look into making being a little bit more structured with that, where I'm not taking out cash to pay for anything, because I'm wanting to track my expense 100%. I want to actually 100% see where my money is going and so forth. So then it helps me out in the long run. So categorize your spending. Identify areas where you spend the most, like groceries, entertainment, or dining out. And that is exactly why I want to go back and track my expenses, because I'm quite sure that when I look back and realize how much money I've spent on these different categories, I'm going to be appalled, and I'm going to be like, wow, I could have paid off this. I could have done so much with this money. So I'm just interested to see what that looks like for me. So, number two, set financial goals. Define your priorities. What do you want to achieve with your money? For example, it could be paying off debt, which I have a debt goal. I definitely want to pay it off and get it underneath the 30% that you want it to be under. You want it to be 30% of your credit limit, like total out all the credit limits that you have, and how much of it do you owe out of that total. It should be 30% or less. And I actually want it to be less. I actually want it to be 20%, as close as I can get it to underneath that 30%. That's where I want it to be. So, paying off debt, saving for a down payment, building an emergency fund. Yes, I want to do all of that. Those are all my priorities. Saving, all of those pretty much. And then set SMART goals. Make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And I've started that by having my goal number 2 and goal number 1 with my supplementary income. That's building more cash flow, that I can create a structure to know where that money should go to. Should it go directly to savings to earn interest, or should it go directly to paying off some of the bills? How am I going to structure it so that I'm being smart about the money that I'm making? I'm not just only spending it on one thing. So, yes, so that's number 2, set financial goals. Number 3, create a realistic budget. Estimate your income, account for all sources of income, including your salary, side hustles, or other benefits. List your expenses, include fixed expenses, for example, rent, utilities, and variable expenses, for example, groceries, entertainment. Allocate your income, divide your income into spending categories based on your goals and priorities. So I have a spreadsheet that I put percentages on how much of it I want it to go towards my bills. How much of my income do I want to go towards my bill percentage wise? How much of it should go towards saving? How much towards it should go towards paying off debt, and so forth and so on. So that I probably need to revamp and reuse. Number 4, reduce your spending. Cut unnecessary expenses. Identify areas where you can save, like unused subscriptions. Oh, nowadays there are subscriptions for everything. And if you're not careful, you be done signed up for a subscription that costs you hundreds of dollars within a month. Look for cheaper alternatives. Shop around for better deals on insurance, phone plans, or other services. Embrace frugality. Find creative ways to save money on groceries, entertainment, and other expenses. Number 5, automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers. Schedule regular transfers from your checking account to your savings or investment account. Pay yourself first. Prioritize saving before spending so it becomes a non-negotiable part of your budget. And I need to write that down. That is going to be my resonating statement, because that to me just resonates with me so much. Pay yourself first. Oops, my pen does not have ink, so I will bookmark that. Pay yourself first. That's exactly what should happen. So from my budget, when I get paid, the first thing that I should take out is my savings. That should be put out to the side. That should be like a non-negotiable. And then whatever else I have left, I gotta make do with my bills and such. And so I am not there yet. Now I do have a savings account where I have it set up to where it pushes out money automatically each day. But there are some other things that I just want to do so much more with my budget and my finances. So that statement right there really, really helps me. And so I'm going to look further into that. And that's going to be my resonating statement for self-discipline this week. Number 6, review and adjust your budget regularly. Track your progress. See how well you're sticking to your budget and making progress towards your goal. Make adjustments as needed. Life events or unexpected expenses may require you to modify your budget. Stay flexible. Be prepared to adapt your budget as your income, expenses, or priority change. And that's kind of relating to my Mother's Day weekend budget. I did go over budget, and that was because I didn't consider paying a tip for the massage that I had my mom, she was serviced, and I just put down on my budget how much it cost, but I didn't consider the tip that I would pay for the service. So that put me over $21, $24. And then also, I didn't consider the fact of going to the groceries. I only considered the massage, gas, and going out to eat at the restaurant. I didn't consider other. It's always a good idea, I believe, to have an other category, so that always leave that grace room for if anything else were to happen. I've set aside this other category for anything else, because me just having those three things, assuming that only those three things were going to happen, they could have, but chances are to give myself that wiggle room in order to be successful on the budget. I should have done that other account. So this upcoming weekend, I don't think there should be any expenses on my part that I would have to pay for. Other than, now I'm going to say this, I do have to get my hair styled. So I'm going to have to write down that I need to get my hair, how much that's going to cost. I also need to get a dress, a nice dress to wear. And I might even buy some shoes, and I might even do some. So you can see how the expenses keep going. So there are some things that I am going to have to pay, and that's going to be more so um, clothes and things to wear for the event. So I'm going to do another budget for this upcoming weekend, just to kind of get a gist of what the expenses will be and how much from my account is going to take, how much I'll be left with, to make a reasonable plan for how much I'm able to actually spend. And number 7, consider using budgeting apps and tools. Explore different budgeting methods and apps. Experiment with various approaches. For example, zero-based budgeting, 50-30-20 rule, and find a system that works for you. Leverage technology to automate tracking. Many apps offer features like automatic expense tracking and bill payment reminders. And that is true. And maybe I'll get out of my own way, but I just be liking to do it my own way in my Excel sheet. So I'm going to now share with you how I'm going to share with you my tracking expense, and then so I'm going to share with you my tracking expense, and I used an Excel sheet to do it. So let me go ahead and show that to you and kind of talk through it. So here's what I did. I went through my phone on my online app, and I went through and only pulled out from my main account, which normally this is the bank account that I use for making purchases. So this would give me a good idea of all the things that I've spent on. Now, I didn't put down every single thing that I spent money on. I only focused on things like food, gas, and then I think there's car wash. So here I kind of went all the way back to January. I made a column for the month, the date, the store that I purchased from, and the amount that I spent. So you can see here my list of items. I generally have gone to Walmart quite a lot. Walmart, Zaxby's, Dollar General, Chick-fil-A, Domino's, convenience stores, vending machine. When I was writing down this list, I was like, oh my goodness, like, why? I had to re-jog my memory on, did I make this purchase? Now, some of these I remember off the top of my, I remember them. But when it came to McDonald's, I'm like, did I buy something at McDonald's? Okay. I guess I bought something from McDonald's. Did I buy something, that much amount of food from the vending machine? I can remember a few times that I went to the vending machine. But you see, it goes all the way to May, to actually today, all the way to May. And so from this, I was able to create some charts that I want to share with you and talk more in detail about them. So I've added in this first chart that kind of goes over everything. And then at the bottom, it shows you month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it shows you for each month my total amount that I spent. So for January, out of the items that I put down, I spent a total of $581.05. That could have been, I could have been paid off my Chase credit card because that would have been a good payment that could have went towards that. And then on February, I've spent $656.02, which is somewhere around the first month. Now in March, I really doubled. I doubled the amount that I spent. I spent $1,089.83 all together during the month of March. And then April's even worse. I almost spent $2,000. I spent $1,790.71. That Look at all that money. That is like how much money altogether? I know I have another slide that shows me that. That is a good amount of money. Like that, some of that money could have went towards saving. Like at least if half of that would have went towards saving, that would have been um over $1,000. Yeah, it would have been a good amount of money that could have went towards saving. So the whole idea of paying yourself first would have helped me be able to say I would have had a good amount of savings money by now, if I were being more diligent and more disciplined with tracking my spending before actually spending it. And then May, which I'm going to put this to a halt. I'm going to put it to a halt as much as I can and just see if I can just keep it right there. The only thing that caused me to spend more this month is because of the Mother's Day weekend, the 90 something dollars, but then there were some other expenses that I had to, and this also includes everything. It includes gas, food, car wash. I think those are the three categories: gas, food, car wash. And I was mainly trying to focus on food, but then it's also nice to see how much gas I'm actually spending. That means how much travel am I doing, and so forth, to see if I can save by eliminating some of these things. But you can see it right here. That is a lot of money just spending. This is not my bills, like my bills I have to pay each month. This is not even including that. This is just spending on food, gas, and car wash, which I only have spent car wash twice. You'll see it in this table here. So in this table, you can kind of see it in a more organized way, and it actually breaks it down by the different types of spending that I did. So you can see I went to wash my car in February and the 3rd, or in March, in February and March, and I spent a total of $68.42 altogether so far this year on washing my car. Food, oh my goodness, look at there. Majority of that money, even though it was $17.90, majority of that went towards food. Majority of every column here. The highest amount that I've spent in every month is food. Now, granted, some of that includes groceries, but if you saw on there on my when I scrolled up and down the chart, not all of these are groceries. Some of these are fast food. If I were to even do another chart to break down the food category to see what am I actually spending on and how much of it am I spending on, it's not all food. And if I were to exclude the ones that are grocery items and just versus going out to eat, that would really show me that I could really stand a chance of refraining from going ordering out. Because I had Domino's on there, I had Pizza Hut on there, I had Dunkin', I had Insomnia cookies, crumble cookies. That a lot of that came from the spring break with my niece and nephew, and that jumped the price up a lot there because we did go out to eat to several places and such. So and then also I did pay for groceries that was well over my normal budget, but because I would have more people in the house, I decided to pay more for that. And I probably didn't even have to necessarily pay that. I probably could have found a way to save and still been able to have, but save while, doing activities. So that'll be something that I will definitely keep in mind for next time they come to visit and try to manage better ways in which I can save. Because paying close to $2,000 in a month for just food, gas, pretty much I'm paying $1,500 for just food. That is well beyond what that's well beyond budget, like well beyond the budget. And then for gas, because I'm traveling, I traveled to pick them up, to bring them back down here, to take them back, and then to come back down here. That's a 4 hour drive. And then also some other driving ventures that I'm doing as well. And you can see for this month so far, I'm not doing too bad. For January, I wasn't doing bad at all with gas. And that's because I have two vehicles and I was using my car around that time, which has better gas mileage than my truck. Even though my truck still does have good gas mileage, it doesn't nearly have as much as my car, because you can see the cost of my car gas is about half the total cost, if not less than more than that, of driving my truck. But I think in February I did some traveling, March I did some traveling, and definitely in April I did some traveling. I even did traveling in this month. I traveled this month. This is how much it costs worth of gas this month for me, for just traveling for the Mother's Day weekend. Now I still think I'm doing pretty good. I just need to hold off on the food stuff and try to get myself back on track going forward. So this is probably more than likely going to be a goal for the month of June, because I am now interested, now that I sat down and made myself more aware of how much I'm actually spending. This has really appalled me. I am very much appalled that I spent this amount of money on just food within a month. And then this is just a visual of that, so you can see the variance there. March way up there. And it breaks it down by car wash, which you can see I only did that 2 months. And then food, and then gas. So I want to continue tracking this. I want to continue tracking this to see where I'm gonna go with this. Because now that I see how much I've spent, I'm really looking forward to seeing how much I can save. So I want to track not my expenses, but I want to track my savings. I want this to be a representation of my savings. If this was a visual of my savings, I would be doing good. And if my savings was a representation of my spending, if I could flip my expenses with my savings, I would have been doing good. Like, doing this throughout the year would definitely guarantee that I would have at least $10,000 saved. And then if I put it in a savings account to earn interest, that'll be even more money. So this is just a tidbit for me to think about, and hopefully it'll be a tidbit for you guys to think about, to see if you can go back and backtrack and track your expenses to see whether or not you are overspending, or that you are aware of how much you're actually spending on a particular item. So I have already shared with you guys how I've done on my May 2025 goals as it relates to today. And then I also shared with you guys about tracking expenses and the importance of it and the reason why you want to do it, as well as sharing with you my experience of tracking my expenses all the way back to the beginning of this month. So I'm hoping something that I share actually helps anyone. I know it's going to help me be more accountable going forth. So, with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.